Question number 4, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr.
Order.
Speaker.
I want to hear Metiria Turei's question. Order.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Tēnā koutou katoa e te whare. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by his statement regarding investor-state disputes procedures proposed in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement that an exclusion solely for Australia and not for anybody else is unlikely to be something that we would support, and if so, why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, yes, this statement simply reflects the reality that an international trade negotiation is a reciprocal process with give and take on all parts. Negotiating parties, including New Zealand, are unlikely to agree that special treatment, such as an exclusion from ISDS, apply to one party but not to the other parties. I'd also note that trade agreements are about finding a balance of benefits for everyone, and the benefits New Zealand could gain from a successful TPP negotiation will be very significant indeed.
Metiria Turei.
Will New Zealand open itself up to litigation from firms based in the TPP countries should we sign up to the investor-state disputes procedures which Australia has rejected?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, well, for a start off, I don't think it's actually correct to say that Australia has rejected. What is true to say is that there are different countries bringing different perspectives to the negotiation, but when a final TPP agreement is agreed, then all parties are likely to sign up. In terms of the first point, no, I don't think that's of concern because ISDS allows a safeguard for New Zealand. New Zealand's already signed 2 FTAs that include ISDS. They were done under a Labour government. They were the China FTA and the ASEAN Australia-New Zealand FTA, and they include the very safeguards which would protect New Zealand under those provisions. They also, I might add, protect New Zealand companies when they invest overseas. That's the very purpose of the ISDS requirements.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister guarantee that there will be no chilling effect on New Zealand's environmental policy from these procedures, given in Germany that government was forced to water down environmental controls on coal-fired power stations or face being sued for more than $2 billion for breach of investor-state provisions?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think that's unlikely, and as I've said in regard to my earlier answer, fundamentally New Zealand does make sure that, and has ensured in the past, that there are safeguards when it comes to ISDS provisions.
Metiria Turei.
How does the Prime Minister propose to guarantee that there will be no chilling effect on New Zealand's health policy, given that in Peru the government is being sued for $800 million because it regulated to stop the severe lead poisoning of children by Renco's metal smelter?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm simply not aware of the provisions in Peru, but I can tell you the way that New Zealand legislates and goes about these FTAs, and it's very careful to give itself the safeguards that we would think would make sense. I think if one goes and has a look overall and takes a step back, then the purpose of New Zealand engaging in TPP is to sign an agreement that would lift economic growth, provide jobs, and opportunities for New Zealanders. Now, on the best forecasting that we have so far seen, of basically a prediction out at 2025, that's worth about $2.9 billion to the New Zealand economy. I think that's a prize worth going after, and I think New Zealand should continue down the negotiations. The same kinds of fears that the Green Party and New Zealand First want to raise in the House are the very same ones that were argued against the China FTA. I suspect they would have been the same kinds of arguments made against CER. They were the same kind of arguments put up against the ASEAN Australia New Zealand FTA. And is anyone in this House seriously saying, other than the Minister of Finance in waiting, that we should rip up our China FTA and everything else?
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How exactly does the Prime Minister intend to guarantee that there will be no chilling effect on New Zealand's health policy, given that in Ecuador, Chevron has used investor-state procedures to stop that government taking action to recover clean-up costs for the dumping of 16 billion gallons of toxic waste into the drinking water of 30,000 people?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it has finally, after a few months now, all come clear to me. The reason that the Green Party wants to follow the policies of Argentina in printing money is it clearly gets all of its ideas from Latin America.
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The question was a straight question. It asked for how he intended...
Point of order is being heard.
I asked the Prime Minister how he intended to guarantee against the chilling effect on New Zealand policy and gave an example where
I'll
that
let the
chilling
member
effect
repeat
has
her
occurred.
question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How does the Prime Minister intend to guarantee that there will be no chilling effect on New Zealand's health policy, given that in Ecuador, Chevron used investor-state procedures to stop the government taking action to recover clean-up costs for the dumping of 16 billion gallons of toxic waste into the drinking water of 30,000 people?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
As I said on numerous answers to numerous questions from the member, there'll be safeguards in the New Zealand law.
Metiria Turei.
Supplementary question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Prime Minister have any concerns that Philip Morris could use the investor-state procedures in the TPP to sue New Zealand, given its actions in Australia and the veiled threats made by its spokesperson in New Zealand, Chris Bishop, and if not, why not?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, firstly, you can't stop anybody suing you, but because someone sues you doesn't mean that they will win. There are plenty of examples in this House of that. Secondly, as I said earlier, we are looking and will ensure that if ISDS takes place as part of the TPP negotiations, there will be safeguards, so that will allow us to do that. And I go back to my earlier point that in the end, TPP will be a free trade agreement that binds on the same rules all 11 countries. Now, the member will be aware, Australia, as of December the 1st, went into its program now of plain packaging. It's not in any way concerned about doing that and continuing to be part of the officials group and continuing to negotiate as part of TPP, and that tells you that they must believe that the two policies are compatible. If they don't, they wouldn't have introduced plain packaging, or they wouldn't be sitting around the table at TPP, which just shows you that the member, like Jane Kelsey, spends a whole lot of time fear-mongering and is fundamentally wrong.
Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why is the Prime Minister willing for New Zealand to sign up to the parts of the TPP that our closest and largest trading partner is completely unwilling to sign up to, because that government wants to protect its rights to legislate for public health and the environment?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, as I said in numerous answers to numerous questions, the TPP would have the same rules applying to all parties. So in the end, if agreement can't be reached amongst those 11 parties in relation to ISDS rules that would apply to every country, that includes Australia and New Zealand and Mexico and Canada and the United States and Peru and others, Singapore, Brunei, you name them, then we won't have those provisions in there. But I take a step back and say, yes, of course there will be a bit of give and take on all of these different rules. New Zealand will make sure it safeguards its provisions. I think we should actually congratulate MFAT because, in my opinion, they have a world-class negotiating team that's done a first-class job for this country on numerous examples in the past and will continue to do so in the future. And the overall prize of all of this is more jobs. And I go back to what I said on TV on Monday morning. When I picked up the Herald on Monday morning, the first thing I saw was yet another Green MP, Catherine Delahunty, opposed to jobs, opposed to growth, and that's why Russell Norman wants to be Minister of Finance.
Point of order, Dr. Russel.
Mr. Speaker, we have repeatedly had to put up with the Prime Minister answering very simple, straight questions with attacks on the Green Party. He should just answer the questions.
Order. Which national member is volunteering to leave if they keep up that noise when I'm on my feet? That's enough. The member's complaint is not unreasonable. The Prime Minister shouldn't have put that last bit in. And we won't carry on down that track any further. Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to table a OIA response from the Office of Tim Grosser setting out the talking points in relation to Australia's refusal to engage in the investor-state dispute resolution process for the TPP.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Question number 5, Simon O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions to the Minister.